This is the Larmtek W5 webcam. It costs just over £17 to buy, so it's really cheap. It can do 1080p and 30 frames per second, and this is how you can expect it to perform. We're starting off with a ring light in front of us, and we're using the out-of-the-box settings. It really struggles to adjust the exposure when we get too close to the lens, with us looking really washed out. It does look better when we move away though. This has a massive 110-degree field of view, which means that you'll see a load of what's going on behind you, but we do get a fishbowl effect with the sides of the frame bending in. Movement is pretty good, but expect a little grain to the image. Removing the ring light and only having natural light coming in through the window, and there's a lot more noticeable grain to the image. The movement still looks pretty good, but you are definitely going to need some kind of lighting on yourself to get the best picture. And completely removing the light and the grain gets amplified even more. We can be seen, but I wouldn't recommend using this without any light, as the image just isn't going to look good at all. Focusing on a small object, and we stay in focus until around 6 inches or so away, then we completely lose the focus. So if you need to get really close to the lens, then this webcam is not going to be the one for you. Focusing on text, and it focused well on larger fonts, but the smaller fonts were difficult to read, and moving the W5 closer resulted in blurring of the text. So you will need some distance between the webcam and the text, and the font will need to be pretty large to get a decent result.
This is a test of the Larmtek W5 webcam. This is the kind of audio you can expect from the inbuilt microphone.
Sitting at our desk with just the room light on, and we look overexposed on our face. We do get some flickering to the image, which is noticeable on the carpet and the wardrobe. Turning on our ring light and the auto exposure setting doesn't seem to adjust to compensate for the extra light, but if you go into your options in something like OBS, then you can untick the box for exposure and play with the slider, and this will sort out a lot of that exposure problem. We did notice that when we turn on the light behind ourselves, then the white balance adjusts, which is pretty noticeable on our face, and it brings a much more warm looking image. You are going to rely on the auto white balance too, because when we tried to manually set this, we could only get the image to look either too green or too blue and nowhere near natural looking. Testing it out on a green screen in OBS, and it wasn't too bad. We do get some grain, but our green screen is not set up in ideal conditions, and we cast a lot of shadows onto it. So as long as your lights are positioned correctly, then this should work pretty well. If this budget webcam isn't floating your boat, then be sure to check out the video on screen now and let us know which one you think performs better.